All right.
All right. What's up, everyone? We're going to start in just like a 30 seconds or so. I'm going to play a little music. Drop where you're from in the chat. We want to say what's up and see where everyone's coming in from.
I'm from the 6, baby.
I'm in Mexico City. Still in San Diego all the time.
People don't know what the 6 is. It's where Drake is from, okay?
Everyone's from everywhere.
I would say you have to thank Drake for making that number so popular, even though people don't know. Like, is it the area code? Is it a zip code? No one knows. It's just cool to be from the
It's like
6.
the original. It's like the original phone number. Like, if you're an OG Toronto person, your phone number is a 416. If you're like me, like an immigrant, like your numbers are like 647, whatever. Like, no one cares. It's like, oh my God. But if you're from Toronto, you have a 416 number. There's like a whole thing about, like, let's say you're giving up your phone or you're moving carriers, like people like literally will post it on Facebook Marketplace or Kijiji and like sell a 416 number. It's like a whole thing.
They did that in the Bay Area too, but I'm from Sacramento, which is the 916, and it's not nearly as popular because Drake is not from Sacramento. So
yeah, Drake
no one's buying 916 numbers.
I feel like when I was in sales, I knew every area code back in the day, but I'm out of the game now.
Yeah. This is such a good variety of folks. Like, we have people from Cape Town. Oh my God, that's so cute.
I love it. Texas, London, Alabama in the house, Cape Town. Man, this is awesome.
This is
Austria.
This is super exotic. I love it.
Let's go.
Yeah, Nicaragua, Birmingham,
Nairobi. What? Sick.
Super cool.
Yeah, Boise. The real 6. Who said that? Colin?
I like this group already.
This is awesome.
All right, let's go ahead and dive in. Welcome, everyone, to the ClickUp Brain AI launch party. I feel like this comes at a great time because we're just like 1 year, a little over a year into this AI craze. I remember back in January, 2023, ChatGPT rolled out. Every single social media post that went viral was about AI. It's just all the craze. Everyone was talking about it. No one knew what to expect. I remember that every prompt I put in was like, please and thank you, because I had no idea how powerful AI was going to get. But now, we understand AI more. We kind of see where it's going. And really, that's the goal today. We want to teach you some tips, tricks. We've got amazing experts. And we're going to dive right in and really just kind of continue the ClickUp mission, which has been since day one, to save you time. So let's do that. We have panelists, we have some ClickUp members, and I'll go ahead and introduce everyone. First panelist up, if you've done anything on ClickUp, if you're looking to learn about ClickUp, if you're on LinkedIn, you've probably seen Shakira Floyd. Welcome.
Hiya, thank you.
Happy to have you. Next up, this guy is all over every single social media platform in AI, TikTok, IG, probably is one of the fastest growing YouTube pages I've seen. Co-founder, visionary, really just AI expert, the guy to learn from, Riley Brown. Riley, welcome.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here. This is going to be a lot of fun.
He's got the professional podcast set up and everything too. So he's got it.
I just got a camera upgrade. I'm super hyped about that. So.
I can tell. It's time, man. I think you got enough coming in to do it. I love the content because it always has him looking great and he has the product on top so you can learn while seeing the good views. Next panelist, if you've seen an app go viral and you're wondering who's behind the marketing, how'd they get so many downloads, chances are it's from panelist number 3, Jonathan Maxim, co-founder of Viral App Launch or founder of Viral App Launch, CEO, longtime ClickUp user. Welcome.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm stoked to be here. We worked on the TikTok launch in 2019, and that kind of put the company on the map. We recruited 200 influencers in a month, and then just kind of went crazy after that. So got a lot of. Actually, I think ClickUp is an incredible platform for agencies. I'm sure there's some agency and some PMs in here, and it just works so well for that. And I think everything that can be scary about a project management platform that's got so much capability is made easy by the AI. I mean, like getting your daily stand-up, getting a summary of last week, or getting, hey, what am I working on this week? Like, sometimes I was a little afraid of the inbox because, I might have 90 notifications there. But now if I'm like, hey, I just want the top line, pop into ClickUp Brain, and I'm like, hey, what are my MITs this week? Or what is my operations manager, my, client services director looking like? So it's really unlocked a whole new world for me and kind of like, got rid of that hesitation. So encourage everybody to
and
tinker
Zach's
around.
gonna dive fully into Brain for us. He's gonna crush it for us, show all that. And then our last panelist number 4, you've probably seen his amazing content strategy, Build a Gong, that he's continuing at Clary, and also the reader, which we love and we learn from here at ClickUp. Welcome, Devin Reed.
Yo, what's going on? Thanks for having me. I'm going to get schooled today on the AI front. I'm excited. Excited to learn.
And then also on the ClickUp side, we have my new partner in crime and diving in, our VP of marketing that we're so lucky to get from Superside. I'm Rita Mather.
Thank you. So excited. I worked on this launch with Zach. So just, I guess, really I've learned so much, and I'm just really happy to be here to party with you.
We're happy to party too. And then we got Zach. Zach is the brain behind Brain. So he'll be diving into Brain with us. So pumped to have everyone. Let's get right to it. Look, AI is blowing everyone's mind. I mean, every single day I wake up, there's a new feature, a new tool I need to learn. But the goal of this call is really make it simple and give you things that you can take away and use today. So from these experts, from everyone from different fields, what is something that has blown your mind with AI this year? Feel free to dive in.
Like an app? Like something that we use?
An app, a tool, a feature, something that you've gotten done. Riley's already blown my mind with the product he's building, ClickUp. So tons of options here.
I got one that's pretty cool. For anyone who's familiar, there's a open source tool called TL Draw. It's a free whiteboarding tool. They added a feature for Make Real. And so developers would go in there and say, design an alarm clock just with that text prompt. And it would design a clock that actually works. And that was just pretty mind-blowing for me.
Wait, couldn't you draw like on the canvas and then it would like design it in that same manner?
That's wild.
It would do that too. Yep.
That is crazy. That is so useful, because I'm like that person that, 'cause I have like a graph or a chart in my head, but I don't know how to actually build it in Excel or whatever, or in Hex or what have you. So I'll like literally draw it and send it to our data team and be like, hey, can you do this? So that's going to be handy for me. Thank you.
My drawing's bad, so I don't know if it could work for me, but we'll see.
Yeah, I think it's also just incredible to see what it's done to the creative space. I mean, from video editing to, like you can upload a whole video to Opus and, a 2-hour podcast and get a bunch of reels out of it with captions and cuts, jump cuts and all that. And it's just completely transformed the creative space from copywriting to image development, video editing. And it's only the beginning, right? So I don't know. I think if anybody is looking to transform their creative game or just break through the blank slate syndrome that happens a lot when you're trying to channel creative inspiration, it's just such an amazing tool. I mean, obviously with ClickUp too, right? Like it can help you find what tasks, like at least for me, the way I work is I need to be inspired by the task I'm working on. So if it's a boring task, then I'm like, let me find something that inspires me and get the momentum going. And again, that's why I really love being able to just like reference ClickUp's AI to find out like what's the stuff that's most urgent and important this week, and pick the most interesting one from there.
Opus is a great tool, and I see Perry Worth is agreeing. Perry Worth is actually ClickUp customer number 1, so happy to see him in the chat. What's up, Perry?
Wow.
Devin and Riley, Shakira, what's blowing your mind? What's something new you've seen?
What's blowing my mind is how bad. Oh, go ahead, Shakira.
You go ahead.
Nah, best accent wins. Go for it.
I was just seconding you really, Devin, to say that my kind of experience with AI has solely really been within ClickUp. So we're very process orientated, and we kind of look at businesses from the very kind of bottom up. So for us, it's kind of introducing new methodologies and strategies and that kind of thing, and really leveraging ClickUp's AI features to create those, statement of works or project plans and everything within that could potentially help the client be more efficient.
Yeah, I was going to say, Chris, you mentioned earlier, like you're being nice to AI. Like when I started using ChatGPT, so I'm a marketer, so we do a lot of writing, obviously. And I'm like, I was always and still am very polite. I'm saying please and thank you just in case they do take over one day and maybe they remember how kind I was. But I was like surprised at how bad some of the images are, because I'm terrible at design. And so I'm like, let me use some of these image generators for like blog headers, and you get the people that are like missing fingers and like all this like looks like Picasso maybe drew them. So I'm still learning on the creative side, but I'm grateful, Jonathan, for the Opus connection, because that's what I'm going to go take a look at. And the place that I have had success and starting to, Chris, is on ClickUp, because I'm a marketer. I'm probably the only marketer who believes that marketing operations is actually more important than my own function. Like, I love content marketing. I think content is the powerhouse of all marketing, but we can produce all the stuff in the world, but if operations are slow and things aren't happening quick enough, it really doesn't matter. And so I'm excited for the I know it sounds like not sexy, but like the operationalize, like being able to run meetings faster, tell people what needs to happen by when, quickly. And that was that, forgive my, I don't know it so well, is like the pop-up window that Brain has of like, tell me what's coming up, tell me what's urgent, tell me who, what's behind. That's the stuff that like is kind of like the behind the scenes that really makes your marketing a powerhouse. Like, are things getting done quickly at a high quality? And so that's what I'm most excited for. And then still, going to go check out Opus, and I still need to find an AI writing tool. No one can capture the D-Read voice quite yet. So I'm excited to find that one day.
You got to train your own GPT-4, upload all your work, and it'll train it on it, and then it'll respond as Devin. It's pretty incredible. Which
is super creepy, because someone else could be Devin too now. Because like they can take all your stuff that's publicly available, and then they can do like the reader, Yeah.
No one could do the reader like him, but yeah, they could try.
They could try. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I hear you, Devin. That gives you more time to create. So I think even though it's not as sexy as an answer, it still is. It's what allows you to do what you do best. And Opus is a great tool. I've tried the others. I've tried Video and all this. Opus is by far the best. So for everyone here, if you are looking for an editing, it's even just a great place to start.
Yeah, and I think for creatives, like one of my weak spots as an entrepreneur is writing SOPs, and the AI is the best at writing SOPs. It goes and gets all the best, articles about a standard operating procedure for installing a Pixel or whatever it is. So I wrote all these SOPs for our company in minutes, and just like completely institutionalized all of it. And I never have to do that boring work again. So that was a huge win for our company, is just like, within minutes being able to draft an SOP and delegate it and get it activated and integrated. So that's been a huge kind of unexpected plus, as well as HR documents, vacation policies, all that stuff. There's so much content out there around that you can just generate it instantly. So if that work is uninteresting to you, let AI do it.
100%. Riley, I know a big part of your game is just kind of paving the way for the content game in AI. What's some of you? I know you're ahead. Give us a little inside scoop. What's something that's killing it right now?
Yeah. So firstly, the new Midjourney site is amazing for creating images and editing images. So they just added it's called Vary Region, which is like in Paint. So you can generate an image and then you can edit portions of the image. And when you do this, you can actually edit that. You can enter different prompts. So like, let's say I got a photo of Chris, generated an image of Chris. I could cut out his face and put a photo of a cat man or whatever, and it would replace his face with a cat. You can do it over and over and over and over again, and then put them into like CapCut. So it's just like your face, like flashing different animals and stuff. So we did a live stream on that, and that's really fun. In terms of like Opus, I'm actually not, I don't know. Like, I feel like just like that form of content is just going to become super abundant. Like the internet's just going to be flooded with like a bunch of like very similarly edited videos. So I actually don't even use tools like that. And I try to keep that manual for now, because I like to stay ahead of the curve.
That's an interesting point. Like you're saying like in the future, if you want to stand out from the noise, a way that you stay original is just to do everything manually.
Yeah, I think the value of good editing is you want to be ahead of the curve. Like, you want to make high quality videos. And so, yeah, you want to stay ahead of the curve. If everyone's posting clips from Opus, something like that, then it's harder, that it just becomes more abundant, therefore less valuable. But I don't know, maybe people can find their own style within that. I'm not sure how it works, but
that's a great point. Sorry, go ahead, Devin.
I was going to say the same thing, because I don't have that video editor yet. I have a guy. His name's David. And it's like, I have to go to David and be the maniacal Devin that I am, of like, no, I want it to look like this and feel like that. And it's to be different. And there's like this pull, though, because I just looked up Opus and like, I know that style. As soon as I saw like the one panel of like their style of video, I've seen that before. It's like this new kind of like the common tone. And the thing I've noticed is the pace. The pace is very similar. You can kind of like swap the speaker in, and it's kind of like the internet tone or like the TikTok tone and speed. And so I think there's like probably some value, and still, like, for me, like, I'm still going to check it out. But I agree, Riley. I'm like, I don't really, like, I haven't made like my career on being just like everybody else. So it's like, how can I maybe take that tool and tweak it in a way where it's like, oh, I know that's what I call like first frame. Within the first frame, can you tell that's Devin? Or is it within the first frame, can you tell that's ClickUp, just on the branding, the style, or something? And so it's really interesting point, both the tool and, Riley, your point of like, how do we stand out? If you're doing what everyone else is doing, you might be faster, but you might just be in the middle of the pack.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I found energy and passion is, and like dramatic pauses. Like, people love pauses in your speech, and like when you change your energy from like sentence to sentence. And I found that, like, on YouTube recently, like, my videos have just been me in front of a giant green screen, and I'm just like doing like a PowerPoint presentation. I made a video on perplexity. It's going to get, I think it's on its way to 1 million views. And then I tried to do one that was more editing oriented, and it had like flashy graphics and stuff, and it just like didn't do as well. So I feel like expertise, passion, and vibe is like the scarce things in the future. And if you can maintain that over time, as Devin said, every time you see that person's face, you're like, okay, this is actually going to be like a very knowledgeable, passion filled, and it's just going to be a good energy. Where just fast, it's a commodity, the editing, in my opinion. But
yeah, I think you're sort of pointing to like the thing that's been said by many experts, which is, regardless of what genre and category AI is used in, it kind of helps, and sorry if this is offensive, but it helps the mediocre creator, marketer, YouTuber, whatever that is. It helps the mediocre person kind of up level themselves. But if you're already good and the top of your game, AI is not necessarily going to like dramatically transform that. In fact, to your point, you want to maintain your edge by continuing to tap into your own creativity, and what you see is as your je ne sais quoi, right? Like, it's like your vibe.
Which is like, for something like ClickUp, that's great, because you want your average employee to like be able to like understand what's going on, know what's important. But when it's like a competitive landscape and people are fighting for attention, if you want to be the best, you can't kind of take those easy tools. But you can use tools like that if you're running a business behind the scenes. So that's kind of how I treat it in my business. Yeah.
Yeah, I think if you've been scared to put content out there, you maybe never worked with video editors before, and you need to break through that wall. These tools can be great for getting that first start. Like, I wouldn't use ChatGPT to write my ad copy at this point, but for somebody who's never written ad copy before, it's probably help you get over the hump. So Riley, I think you bring up a great point. It's really about like where in your journey you stand and which AI tool can suit you to bridge you to that next stage of the journey. With Opus, obviously, that's pretty amateur editing or commoditized editing, but it might help somebody who has a B2B business is kind of boring, at least start getting content out there.
Oh, 100%. Like, if you're a beginner, it's great to be average, right? If you want to be average, if you're just starting, so that's like a good place to start for sure.
And speaking of tools, I do want to hear more about Perplexity later, but let's dive in. I want everyone to see ClickUp Brain. So Zach, let's see the demo, man. You take it over and show everyone the world of ClickUp Brain.
Alrighty. I'll share my screen in a second here. All right. Everyone can see it? Good to go?
We got it.
Good to go.
So I want to walk you through a workflow using ClickUp Brain. Off screen, I have some notes of questions I want to ask, but we really wanted to build AI. I mean, kind of like Riley was saying, there is a good point that it's going to be changing so quickly that our focus was the one commodity ClickUp has that no other AI tool has is the ClickUp data that we have inside of our own workspace. So if I want to pull up AI, I'm going to have contextual to my workspace questions. And so just very lightly touching on the actual structure of this, when you open up AI, and by the way, I use the hotkey, but you can also click up here, you're going to get 3 different sections. And these have some importance. The first section is going to be dynamically generated questions about your documents that are specific to your workspace. So you can see that I have, what are some examples of processes that were worked on in this sprint? And if I was to ask something like that, it's going to use the data from, again, within my workspace to answer that question. And then the second section is going to be asking about tasks, and this is workspace wide. And this is really neat because I can learn, if especially I'm a new employee, I can learn which tasks are popular, which ones I should work on next. We have a bunch of static questions that you can start out with. So I'm going to get into the actual demo piece, and let's start by asking about where's my department wiki? So everyone has some kind of SOP, central doc that tells you about the company, like a handbook. And so simply asking the question without any other context, I'm not telling it to look in a specific location, it's going to find that document, and it did. Now, without even opening it, I can continue asking questions because it has context about what I just previously asked. So in this case, I want to know what the public holidays are. And it's going to get the public holidays not off the web, but off of that doc that we just referenced. And in fact, not even just the main large doc, but a specific page from within that. So it grabbed it from the paid holidays page, which is great. If I want to now switch gears completely and ask about maybe a feature, right? So I'm a product manager. I just quickly wanted to ask about the holidays, but now I need to get back to work. I can go ahead and switch context, and it's going to know that I'm not now asking about what are the paid holidays about calendar and events. It's going to find that document that I'm talking about and give it to me here. Now, the cool thing about our Q&A feature is now that I'm on the doc, we're actually going to switch context when I use AI. So I'm going to open it back up, and you might notice this little token down here that says calendar and events v0. So this is the difference between searching everything and then searching contextual. And searching contextual is important because now I can ask questions about this doc. So for example, if I want to ask, let's say, what topics are covered here, it's not looking all over my workspace. It's looking at this doc, and it's able to give me an answer based on what is inside of this document. And I can even I'll ask one more specific questions. I know there's something about syncing tasks on this document, but it's really long. I don't have time to read this. And there you go. It's able to pull up that answer. So shifting gears away from docs, I showed you tasks before, and we have these buttons here. One of my favorite ones is actually which tasks are popular. What's cool about this is it's going to give you a list of tasks that are popular in your workspace and also show you the view count. So this is a great way, especially if there are documents that every employee should look at. It'll list these out right here. And as you can see, it's viewed by 19 users on this one, viewed with 11 views. And it's also going to give me a very short summary about what that task is about. So I see this first task has a lot of popularity right now. It's viewed by 19 people. Maybe I want to ask a specific question about that task. And I actually see that it says it seems to be blocked. There's some blocker here. So if I'm a manager of that project, let's say, I might want to know what is blocking that. So I'm going to ask who needs to solve it. And I'll actually make a note real quick. I was talking to the engineer right before this call about the speed of this. It's very slow right now. So that's being fixed and shipped very soon. But once this is done, I'm going to be able to ask a question. So I'm going to ask who needs to solve the blocker on this task. And again, with only the context of what I just asked, it's able to identify that I said there was a blocker for Devin. And now if we go to that task, you can see that that's true. I say, hey, this is blocking. And then I talk about, hey, Devin, I need you to take a look at this. So that's the power of Q&A inside of ClickUp. So you can ask about your tasks, your docs. In the near future, we're going to have the ability to ask about your lists as well. We think this is going to be super helpful because sure, it's nice to ask about specific tasks, but I should be able to come here and look at all my bugs and say, which ones are the most important, which ones are getting the most reports, and then go from there. So that's one of the big flagship features we have. Another one we have that's really helpful for teams and individuals is stand-up. You might have seen these two buttons down here. Now, if you're not familiar with the stand-up, it's an engineering meeting, but it's been more broadly accepted among all different kinds of departments. Essentially, it's 15 minutes a day, 5 days a week that you're working. You're going to meet with your team and talk about what you did. yesterday, what you're going to do today, and if there's any blockers. So for example, if I want to get a stand-up for myself, not that I'm necessarily going to report this to anyone, but if I just want a refresher, I can get that, and it's going to list out everything that I did for the past 24 hours. And if I want to, I can show 7 days, 3 days. And so this is a good way for me to get, I can remember what I did the previous day. But let's say I'm a manager, and instead of wasting 15 minutes every single day, plus the 5 minutes you need to prep for the meeting, I could, as long as my team has their information inside of ClickUp, I could add my whole team here and then get an update on the last 7 days. And I can even have it in a short format because I don't have a lot of time. And so this is great because, again, I'm getting that context from what they did without having to go bother them. And then this is actually a good example of, well, maybe my team is not putting their data inside of ClickUp or not putting their updates. And so I need to go remind my team now, hey guys, make sure it's in ClickUp because that context is really helpful for me to do the stand-up. And probably my favorite rendition of stand-up in ClickUp is on the home screen. So if you have it on home, every 24 hours, this will regenerate automatically. You don't have to touch any buttons. It's just going to auto-generate. And the way that I like to do it is have it just for myself, typically. And again, it's just going to upload the latest, let's say, 24-hour updates here. So that's stand-up. And I'll briefly touch on one last feature that is going to help us in the future a lot, but right now we're kind of just dabbling with it. So for anyone who hasn't used automations, I'm on the automation screen right now. And one of the problems we know we have on automations is it's kind of overwhelming. You come here, there's a lot of different options, and really you just want to automate something. So now we've added this natural language processing, NLP feature, which lets you take simple everyday language and generate an automation. So if I want to say, you know, when the status, then assign me, this is a very simple use case. It's going to think about it and then give me the right automation. Now, this is very particular, and you know, there's a lot of people that don't use automations, but we're learning from this. And the idea is that we want to take this, so now you can build a list, you can create a task, you can build a dashboard with just simple text. And we think this is really going to enable people to use these maybe more complex features or just get started a lot quicker. And you can see that it got it here, and I can go ahead and create this. I'd love to answer questions. That was like the main thing I wanted to go over. I think I got through it quicker than I thought. So
you did great.
Yeah, if there's any questions, I can go over it.
Tons of good questions in here, Zach. And just so everyone knows, you can request a 20-minute demo. There's a button above. So please click that button to fully dive in. So let's see. First question I saw was, are we able to use ClickUp AI to pull data from dashboards?
Not today, but I will tell you that we're increasing the areas that AI is able to interact with. So for example, in case you weren't aware, you can record, one moment, you can record voice clips like this. I'm trying to get some words down. And when I send this, it's going to have a transcription. Now what's cool is we are indexing, meaning we're saving all of the text from these transcriptions. And very soon you'll be able to not only search for that text. So, you know, let's just say I use the word voice and it'll come up here, but you'll also be able to use AI and say like, you know, where was that voice clip where I talked about so-and-so? So that's one example. We're going to increase that scope to even shapes and text on whiteboards. Yes, probably in the future dashboards. Pretty much anything that has text, we're hoping to index in the future so that you can search for it and use AI.
I'm hoping Goldcast doesn't kick us off. Okay, we're good. We're good. Just making sure. Keep rolling, Zach. We had a countdown.
Oh, yeah, I think that was the answer to that question.
Are there any plans to give AI access to docs for the content generation feature, such as using docs to train your, oh, that's a great question from Perry, such as using docs to train your AI on branding and voice and tone?
Yeah. So we definitely want to enable personalization, both at the individual and workspace level. So for the individual, you might have a style of voice that you like, I prefer more casual, short responses for myself. But then we'll also have brand workspace settings. So yeah, candidly, we're scoping that out right now, but it's not being worked on. But yes, we're going to get that.
Jacqueline asked a fun question. Can she ask something like, what task did Billy Bob complete this week? I know the answer, but I'll let you answer, Zach.
What? I mean, Billy Bob does not exist here, but let's see. What task? So what's cool is actually, yes, you can just type in a name and it will recognize that. Now, if there are two Zachs, it's going to pick the first one.
I didn't think about that.
But see, in this case, I don't think I completed anything, so it's not going to actually grab the right answer. But it tried.
It's only Tuesday, so you got the whole week to complete some tasks.
You did enough work last week, but I'm still hitting up HR.
Yeah.
I like Joe's question. Will automations be able to apply list templates? Joe's getting deep.
Will automations be? All right. So we have recently added the ability to not lists. Sorry, if I was misleading for a second. So we've added the ability to do checklists recently, which you couldn't do before. List is something we have a task for. It's not on our immediate roadmap. A very, very short answer for automations roadmap, because I'm owning that feature as well. Dynamic people assignees. We want to have scheduled automations, so you can do time-based and adding formulas. So we're looking to get those, and then maybe we can come back to templated lists.
Can we have an autosave for everything?
What autosave?
I'm just reading this from Dan. It looks like autosave drafts, including like comments, things like that. I think it's
we should already be autosaving comments.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like if I was to, because this happens often, I'll start, writing something beautiful right here, and then I'll exit that task and come back. It's going to save it. So you're not going to lose that context.
And there's more coming in. Panelists, do you have any questions as well? Like we want you to love ClickUp too. So any question you have for Zach, feel free to ask away.
What are some of the most common and most useful automations that you've seen? I want to get some examples of automations.
Sure. So I'll tell you, for anyone who's curious about data, I love diving into this. The number one flow in ClickUp is when task is created, change custom field. And so I think a lot of this, if you're talking about a use case, this is going to be, maybe a task is created from a form, and then I want to fill out a bunch of custom fields on that form. So I might even add multiple actions and have, this change to epic. And then I can even have a condition. We see this a lot too, where I only want to have that happen if the assignee, let's say, is me, because then I know that needs to be an epic task. It is depending on the use case and the kind of person that is setting up an automation, like there's so many different things you can do. I will note, talking about AI though, we want to add a write with AI action. And I think what a really cool use case will be there is when form is submitted, and pretend I'm an IT tech and I get tickets every day. So when a form is submitted, I want to use AI, and let's say this is a prompt, right? So this is my prompt, and I want to summarize the bug and tell me what to do, something like that. It will just take all the comments, the custom fields, whatever the user submitted, and then have a very short comment for me so I can save time. So I think the future of AI and automations is really neat.
Yeah. There's the thing with automations is like you can automate stuff for other people too, almost like potentially like either making their life easier, giving them direction, etc. Like I built something where I said, hey, anytime we have a customer that renews with us and they're over a certain deal size and their health score is high, populate their name in our case study ask list, right? So like goes into our customer advocacy list. And so then anytime our customer advocacy person pulls it up, it's like, ooh, wait a second, there's like 5 more customers added here or 10 more customers added here. And he doesn't have to like think about where that came from, what happened. He knows exactly who to chase, how to go about it, because we've just created that automation like for him. So there's tons and tons of cool applications like that.
Next question. Is
Zach,
there any?
I have a question for
Yeah,
you,
dive in.
if that's okay. Sorry, Chris.
Yeah.
Just curious in regards to kind of pulling data. We're working with a client at the moment who is looking to pull data from lists. So, for example, they want to pull data from the list of speakers to say who can speak at an event, but we're having difficulty in pulling that kind of data unless it's in a document or a doc, should I say? Have you got any kind of feedback on that, or how advanced it is with pulling data from lists?
How AI is with pulling data?
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's like a really good use case for what I was showing earlier about the contextual AI. So a lot of times when I'm on these larger documents, instead of going through it, I'll have the contextual question and say, like, you know, what are the deliverables? I don't know if this is actually on here, but in your case, you could ask who are all the people, and then it'll list it out. I think there's room to improve the way that this outputs. Like in your example, I don't know what kind of, like if you're looking for like an export or like a table, but we're continuing to improve the way this works. I think right now we're focusing on like making sure the context gives us the right answers, and then we'll move on to like formatting and things like that.
I think I just mean from pulling the actual information from the tasks within the list, for example, rather than a doc, if that makes sense.
Okay, so that's what I was referring to. So we're building the AI for lists very soon, and that'll operate similar to how you just saw me do docs, except it'll be for a list. And so if you have a very large list.
Okay, amazing. Sorry, I missed that.
Yeah, then you can ask questions.
Awesome, thank you.
All right, Zach. They have a few questions about the security. Just want to make sure we're. This is from Alan. It looks like. Make sure we're, just being ready for examples of scamming, phishing, hacking. They just want to make sure ClickUp Brain is preventing security. Do you have any? I'm sure we have a full answer then on the site, but do you have any high level breakdown on that?
Yeah, definitely on our help articles, we go into that in more detail. I think like the biggest concerns that we hear about, which are totally fair, is do you train your models at all? No, we don't. And we have a license with OpenAI who powers a lot of our prompts, much like most competitors out there. So we have the highest security. We have the license agreements. We do not train. I think that covers mainly the big things that we hear about often.
Sweet. And I just realized, Kristen asked about the AI writing tool. Maybe we can show a cool example of our AI writer.
Yeah. And in fact, there's a really cool feature I want to show off too. So let's do this. Let's write with AI. So in this example, I just used the slash command for anyone who didn't, if I went too fast. Pressing slash actually comes up with a lot more AI tools here as well, depending on the context. So when I'm writing a comment or if I'm on a doc, I can write something here. So if I just wanted to tell me a story, this is a silly example, but I'll explain in the next feature why this is a neat feature. But much like that chat-like experience in the sidebar that you saw, this is like a smaller version. I'm contextual to my comment. And when I get my answer here, I can still follow up and ask questions. So give this a second. It's a very long story, I guess.
We've had some fun with this one before.
Yes, we sure have. Oh my goodness, this fox named Rusty. All right, well, I'm gonna
should tell him a short story.
Here, I'm just gonna grab this. I grabbed some of it. And we'll exit out of this for a second. Okay, fine, it finished. So insert and send. One of the features that's kind of hidden, it's actually really hidden unless you know, is we have a reply feature. So if you type /reply, it's going to take context from the comments you're replying to. And if it has suggestions, it'll give you some. Otherwise, you can give it a prompt of what you want it to do. So if I just want to respond and say like, hey, yeah, that's great. That's a silly example, but I could do that. Or summarize and agree. and then I can insert that, and it's a faster way to comment. So you can do this on on your inbox if you have any notifications here. And then additionally, speaking of writing, if you have email set up, I don't have it set up on this account, you can use / and then email. And then when you do that, you'll be able to write an email and generate content that way. But I mean, writing is littered inside of ClickUp. You can find it pretty much anywhere, like the description here. So if I type in team offsite, it's going to write something about having a team offsite. A lot of people will use it on docs, of course, but we find that comments are also a highly used feature for writing.
And there's more tools even being built. I mean, Riley just like 4 days ago built a tool where you can go take a walk, which is something I love to do. You can talk into your phone, leave a voice note, and then from that voice note, you can upload it to ClickUp, something he's built. And then from there, along with Joe, and then from there, it'll go ahead and it'll post you a newsletter, a blog post, something super cool. So feel free to hit them up. I think Riley does trainings once a week. So definitely check those out where he's building, tools live that you can use. So the stuff just keeps going.
Yeah, totally.
We'll take a few more questions here. Let me scroll back up. Someone asked questions about whiteboards. If we're going to have anything with AI and whiteboards at some point. Zach also was a project manager on whiteboard, so he's the best person to ask this question.
I have exciting news I can't talk about yet with whiteboards.
Okay.
Just know that, yes, as someone who loves whiteboards probably the most at this company, there's going to be some big changes that'll make it much better. And we'll be talking about AI in the future too.
I'm so looking forward to that because I do all my sort of brain dumping and mind mapping in that tool. So to be able to pull that into Q&A would be awesome.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people in the chat are saying the same. When I just don't know where to start, I just pull up a whiteboard and then I'll go back and create tasks. Gotta love whiteboards.
Yeah. Chris, there's like a lot of great questions in the Q&A tab. I know there's also questions in the chat.
Let me go back there.
There's a lot of places to look, but there's
feel free to ask one you see too, Amrita. I'm jumping back over.
Yeah. Well, a couple of people have asked similar questions. So I'll just summarize. Helen, Teresa, a few people have said, hey, essentially summarizing, can people just buy AI for themselves, or does the entire ClickUp workspace need to buy it? If each member has their own space and custom fields, are there any key elements that need to stay the same across spaces, et cetera? All great questions. So on the purchase side of things, because you're using your organizational knowledge from across the board, the entire workspace has to purchase AI. I don't think that's changing anytime soon, right, Zach? Just for privacy and security reasons.
Yeah, it's something maybe we revisit in the future, but right now, like you said, it's the workspace-wide capabilities that make it hard to make it single purchases.
Yeah. And then if you have spaces, if every individual has their own space set up and custom fields set up, will this product would ClickUp Brain just look across all the spaces? I think the answer is yes, but.
Yep. We will respect privacy and permissions. So if you don't have access to Amrita's one-on-one list, you're not going to be able to ask any questions about it. But as long as it's somewhere in your sidebar, for example, yeah, you can ask about it.
And someone else asked, just to build on that, I forget where that question is, there's so many, but they were saying let's say there's private stuff, private docs, private spaces. Let's say you're the office of the CEO. Would an admin of that workspace, so not a regular user, but an admin of the workspace, could they access those types of tasks and documents?
Nope, if they don't have access to it.
Okay, that's awesome. That's great.
Amazing.
Yeah, because that would be creepy. That's awesome.
No creepers in ClickUp.
No creepers in ClickUp. Amazing. Matt is asking, I'd like to see Brain be able to look through all my subtasks on my projects and use the data I can gather to create things like project schedules. Is this something that'll be coming? That is such a great use case, actually.
Yeah, Matt's got some great questions.
So I'll show you at least what we have today. I think there's room for it to improve. But if I'm on this task, I can actually ask about the subtasks on the task, and it will have context of that. So again, this is very light, right? It's telling me the name of the subtask, as you can see here, and the status, which I mean, I can pretty much gather that from just this screen right here. But the idea is that we are starting to get that context. We are playing around with how helpful it is, because sometimes you just want to know about this task and we don't want to muddy it with all the details of a subtask. But I think this goes back to a question someone asked earlier about personalization. We really want to give at some point flexibility into your questions. So I just care about asking about this task. This is my brand voice. All of those kind of details, I think, will help make the experience better for you, the individual. But yeah, we have context of subtasks. And then another big question we get that's related is relationships. Because a lot of times a task is like a hub and it's attached. It's related to a lot of different tasks. And so we want to have more information. Yeah, like look at this. There's 2 relationships here. Ideally, we should be able to ask like, hey, which OKRs is this task related to? And it should be able to pull up information from these 2 tasks that are related and then give you an answer. So there's a lot we have in the form of connected work that we want to get in the future.
Cool. I think we'll just do one last question about ClickUp Brain specifically, and then we'll get back to the panelists. John, Kay, and a few other people have asked, what is the AI limit? I think they're saying that, just like ChatGPT, Midjourney, all these guys have like limits of how many times you can use it or within a certain window. Do we have such a limit? And I know the answer is if you're on a trial, it's something different. But if you're on the paid plan, it's something different.
Yeah. Okay. A couple things. Yeah. One, if you're on a trial, there is a limit, and then we ask for you to pay. But if you do have the AI and you buy it, again, because we make it workspace wide, well, the benefit of ClickUp's AI is that there's no limits outside of that. So once you pay, you can use it as much as you want. There's no limitations outside of like the very high like rate limiting that maybe OpenAI has that we don't have control over. But other than that, like you can use it as much as you want. I was looking at the data the other day. Someone was using 5,000 times asking questions already this month, which is 13 days.
Yeah, who is this person? They have a lot of questions.
So, I mean, like, good for them. They're finding value. Like myself, I used ChatGPT before ClickUp had AI because that's how it helped me work. Now it actually just makes more sense for me to ask a question here. Like if I really want to ask something specific, I can just ask it here and get an answer as if it was GPT inside ClickUp.
Yeah. And I'll just add that, I know that people, if you're using ClickUp, you don't have the power to make that purchase, but your admin or your workspace owner does. And guys, it's like $5. It's like $5 a user. It's a steal. Like ChatGPT Plus is like $20 or $21, I believe. Just as an example, just to compare. Notion, I think, is $8 or something like that. So this is a total steal. And if you're getting value from it and you're over the trial limit, go bug your admin to upgrade all y'all.
Yeah, and you can't ask ChatGPT something about your workspace, but you can ClickUp, and it's contextual, so no brainer. All right, panelists, any questions from you guys or anything you want to dive into? I'm glad you got to see this live, and I'm glad everyone got to see this demo. Feel free to ask away.
I love it. I have a lazy guy question, which is I'm the lazy guy. So I think this is awesome. I love Amrita's example of the case study, like auto flagging it. Curious, Zach, if it just can ClickUp just monitor the manual stuff I'm doing and then be like, hey, I've got an automation for that. Like, hey, I've seen you've been doing some manual work, Dev. You don't actually need to do it. There's a better way. I'm sure you guys have like a tutorial section, and I'll definitely go check that out. But it would be so cool if one day I'm just like doing the same mundane task, not really thinking about it, and then it was like, ding, there's a better way.
I swear I didn't tell you to ask that question. Yesterday, so part of our job as PM is to write requirements for features to work on, and that was the exact one. It's called AI suggested automations. And so the idea is after X number of uses, we'll recommend an automation based on your pattern, or just knowing that, like, Devin, you, let's say every Friday you're changing the status of a bunch of tasks, we'll recommend things. So yeah, actually we're scoping that out right now.
Wow.
So if I'm moving all my Friday tasks to Monday because I was lazy and didn't get them done, it'll ping up and go, hey, Dev, maybe you move these to Thursday and in better time. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, so like we see that you're wasting a lot of time, Devin. So why don't you?
Or it gives you like those summaries, like your phone sometimes does, like the Apple iPhones, they do like, oh, you only walked this many steps and you didn't complete your ring or whatever. And it's like the same thing. Yeah. It's like, dude, you spend way too much mundane time like context switching and doing all this stuff, and it knows all of that. That would also be creepy, but useful.
That would be cool. Yeah, I like when the Apple Watch is like, Devin, you're 45 calories away from your move goal. You can do it. And I'm like, yeah, it's probably not going to happen, but no. No, that's very cool. I like it.
All right. Any others? Riley, Shakira, Jonathan?
I think it's incredible. Can't wait to play around with it more. Just think I've not done a good job of putting all the features to use, but I asked ClickUp AI, like, hey, how do I use ClickUp Brain? And it showed me all of its functionalities and capabilities. So if you're stuck there, just ask.
You can ask anything. Yeah, ask anything. Ask away.
Yeah, and that's a quick plug for if you want to know about ClickUp. We've also indexed the help center, meaning if you want to ask about how to use ClickUp, you can just ask questions and it'll have you.
Super smart.
No. Wow. Yeah. Can I ask you guys a question? It's mostly like when we were working on this launch, I was kind of thinking about this, and I don't think I ever put it in words, but I always wondered, like, there's so many AI tools out there. There's tons and tons. It's like impossible to keep up. I've subscribed to a bunch of AI newsletters, and every day there's like 15 that they drop, and I'm just like, my head is exploding. But what struck me as interesting is like, why aren't there that many AI tools that are like integrated in your workflow, like how you do work? Like, why is that not the case? I know it's hard. That's part of the answer. But is there more? Like, what's preventing companies from launching stuff that's already embedded in the products that we use every single day?
I feel like it's because the tech already, like, things already exist outside of workflow. And then when you add AI to it, it's just additional stuff outside of your workflow, if that makes sense. Like, so I use Goldcast too, but Goldcast already doesn't connect with any, I mean, it connects to some systems, but it's not like a part of the workflow. So when you add AI and additional use cases, I'm in Goldcast, but you know what I mean? AI doesn't solve, like, I don't think anyone's thinking of kind of the integrated aspect too much, except for ClickUp, obviously the one app to rule them all. But like, that's how I think about it, is like, it feels like they're kind of growing their features upward versus like trying to really think of like the workflow across. That's been my experience.
Yeah,
at least.
I agree. Yeah, absolutely. From our point of view, client focusing is definitely kind of trying not to use all of the tech possible. And I think ClickUp's doing really well in consolidating all that, and having an AI built in that we can kind of work with our clients' workflows is amazing. It's working really well, and it's so user-friendly as well.
I kind of don't even mean in the context of work. I just mean like anything, like even just take like Instagram, like that's really like the only, like LinkedIn and Instagram I use quite a bit for social. And yeah, there's like Write with AI and LinkedIn now, and there's like Create Reels with AI and Instagram now, but it's not really like transformational. It's not like the next level. There's like all of my friends who own whatever social media agencies or whatever, they have to use a multitude of tools and then like find ways to integrate it into Instagram and then like do some live streaming. And it's just, everything's just so complicated. I feel like, Riley, you were maybe trying to answer this question earlier. Sorry to put you on the spot, but do you have a point of view on this?
I'm not going to lie. I am using ClickUp AI right now, and I'm trying to set up automations. So I
live on the call.
I had to jump in and try it. I'm so excited to use the automations feature that I've missed the question because I'm using it right now. I apologize.
No,
ask Brain what Amrita's question was.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, you know, when you got a team, I've got a team of about 20 people. There's me learning it, and then there's me teaching it to my operations director, and then him creating training and instituting it throughout. So it's just generally, it's kind of hard to adopt technology when you've got a lot of embedded systems, or you designed a stack that you think is going to solve the long-term problem and hopefully not have to revisit it for a while. So I think, you know, the fact that with ClickUp, a lot of stuff is native and contextual is a big difference. You know, for example, like we do a lot of copywriting. So having the docs with the writing tool, you know, maybe say, hey, write me the, you know, the high converting, you know, ad copy framework and let me fill it out. That's a very, like, we're saddling a workflow that's already happening. So I think that's really powerful, because we used to pay for Jasper. We don't use it anymore really, because it's just too out of workflow. You know, we move a lot of volume. So I think contextualizing it has just been a huge thing. And also, like, the more we get to know ClickUp, the easier it becomes to saddle new features and roll them into the workflow. So yeah, it's just with the splintering of all these AI tools, I agree, it's very overwhelming, and that's why I think ClickUp's got it right, because they're putting it all into one space that we already have embedded documents, data, even things like company policies and processes and stuff like that. So the more it becomes a central database for knowledge as well as work, it just becomes that much more relevant and usable. And then it's just an easy, bridge to gap in terms of telling people, hey, just ask the AI tool, like, how can I automate this function that I keep doing manually or whatever it is.
Yeah. Like we track all our OKRs inside ClickUp or KPIs, which is like honestly coming from another like bunch of different tech companies where OKRs live somewhere else and the work lived somewhere else, and connecting those dots, it was awful. Now everything's like connected. Like I literally people will be like, hey, can the marketing team do blah, blah, blah? And I could be like, oh, it actually doesn't move this OKR. So no, I have the power to say no because I have all my priorities and OKRs in one place. We also did performance reviews inside ClickUp, which was kind of neat. Again, I can just like pull up stuff from my boss, show comments. That was actually pretty powerful. And it was powerful to feel confident as well.
And I, to the first example you had about different tools and having context in different tools, that's something you might have seen when we launched Brain. We had something about connected work. So right now we have the ability to, let's say, connect your Google Drive, your Figma to ClickUp. And that's nice. That's like the first step. But the next step is just like you would have context on a doc inside of ClickUp and be able to use AI. We want to bring everything in so that you can ask questions. Because like the truth of the matter is, like, there's going to be some people who just don't use ClickUp. They're stuck on Google Docs or whatever other tool. They're not going to move over. That's fine, because now we're going to be able to bring in that work, and you'll still be able to use AI on that from within ClickUp. So it's all still connected to your work. So that's going to be like a next big phase for us.
I love it for focus too. Like I really need to get in the zone, and switching tabs has just always been against. It's really why Zeb wanted to create ClickUp at the beginning, because some people would use Asana if they're a marketer, and developers would use Jira. And that's why he really just wanted that one place. So I'm biased. And Matt, to answer your question, we keep our OKRs sometimes in goals, but sometimes we even create tasks and just put subtasks below it. But as the goals feature gets better, that's where ideally it would be. All right. Well, I think
coming, but yeah, let's wrap this puppy up. We've been
wrap it.
An hour.
You guys were awesome. The questions were great. I mean, you guys were from all over the world, excited from the beginning. Again, request a demo is right up there. We'd love to walk you guys through. There's so much more that we'd even get to. I'm the one that asked Zach to keep it to 7 minutes. So otherwise he could have done this for an hour. So thank you all so much. Thank you, the panelists. You guys are great. We had some laughs. We had some fun. We learned AI. We talked everything from security to our new features that are coming out that I didn't even know we were being worked on. So thank you all. And hopefully we'll do more like this soon.
Absolutely. Thanks. Nice meeting you, everybody.
Thanks,
Nice meeting everyone.
Thanks, everybody. Have a great week.
Thanks for having me.
Bye.